Are there any fees that have been put in place by the current government that you would attempt to reduce or remove, and how would you cover any revenue shortfall that might cause?
Well, first of all, let me address the garbage fee, okay? I thought we contracted refuge companies to come collect our trash and dispose of it, and obviously they feel like they need more, or somebody needs more of the pie from that, so we got a garbage fee. I relate it to maybe we don't have a good contract with the people that are collecting our garbage. We need to sit down and renegotiate that. Let me tell you something. I deal with customers every single day that are under pricing contracts with us, but when they get to the point that they can't afford it, or we get to the point that we can't afford to haul their freight for them to that price, we sit down and we renegotiate. Sometimes we have to walk away from the table. Sometimes they have to walk away from the table. But this business of just doing business today the same way we did it yesterday and hope that tomorrow it's going to produce a different result, that's kind of like the definition of insanity. Doing things the same way every day and expecting different results. And I think that we have just gotten ourselves into such tunnel vision with that kind of stuff. We don't have any broad concepts of thinking. We have people on the council that come from various backgrounds. A lot of them don't come from business backgrounds, and I think that's part of the problem. They don't understand. They've never been required to sit down and work in a budget. So when something comes up, they go, well, gosh, we need another fee. Well, you know, the stormwater fee. I have a real problem with the stormwater fee. I can walk to the edge of my backyard and I can look for a half a mile this way and a half a mile that way, and there's a great big drainage ditch that goes into a beautiful lake system that they put out in Argyle. And I still have trouble accepting the fact that I've got to pay a stormwater fee. For what? I think the fee is just a way that the city uses to get more money for mistakes that they have done on other programs that they have done, and I'm just totally against it. The sign ordinance fee for realtors. I mean, come on. $100, I think they have reduced that to $30. You got to go register and pay $30 for a sign to put up in front of a house for an open house in a new subdivision. We got to help people sell houses, okay? We got to help builders build houses. We got to get rid of impact fees. I think we should put a moratorium on impact fees for builders. And I think we should do it for 2 or 5 years. And that will open the door for a lot of building projects that builders can't do right now, primarily because the impact fee is just a deal killer for them. They have to cut their bids low to get the business in today's economic climate, and then when they have to tack on that impact fee, then it really is a hard lick for them. I think if we put a moratorium on those fees, and then let's do it for 2 years and look at it, and if it works, then let's do away with the impact fees totally. In Clay County, they put a moratorium on impact fees. From 2008 until 2010, they had, I think the number was a 6% increase of permits filed for building. In St. Johns County, they don't have a moratorium there, and they do have a good percentage of increase, but they're so underbuilt in that area that, you know, it doesn't really matter. But in Duval County, from 2008 to 2010, I think the number is like 18 to 22% less building permits filed for, and most of the reason in the builders that I've talked to is the fact that, hey, I just can't afford the impact fee. I read an article not long ago where Tony Slayman stated that he would rather build in Clay County or Nassau County because they got a moratorium on the fees there, and to build the same shopping center here that will kind of stimulate the economy, get businesses in those places. He's got to pay something. It was a ridiculous price, like $418,000 in order to just pay the impact fee to get the thing going. Builders will do what they need to do to make the access to the facilities or to the homes or whatever they need to do. They will do that, but we need to eliminate some of this stuff.
Everyone hates it.
Yeah. What is your general view on granting a sole source contracts for goods and services needed by the city? And is there a specific maximum dollar level above which the contract should always be subject to an RPF process?
Okay, my memory spans about this long, so if you'll ask me the first part of the question first, I'll answer that and then I'll get to the second.
Okay, general view of granting sole source contracts for goods and services needed by the city.
Sole source contracts and services. I think you need to stay competitive. I believe in a free market system. I believe part of the problem right now, if I'm understanding your question right, I believe part of our problem right now is we don't put contracts out wide enough, in a wide enough range, okay? I think that we ought to offer contracts to people who are qualified to perform the service that they would bid on. But I think we've got kind of a good old buddy system, hey man, you got this contract, it's gonna come up again, I'll make sure you get it and that kind of thing. I'm just totally against it. I think that we need to have more competition in that. Let me tell you something. Competition is the best thing that can happen to our economy, in my opinion, because it will put people in a playing field to where the people that are using those services are getting the end benefit, the end user of all of that, where they will have less money that they've got to pay for in taxes because we bid it right and we got the most qualified, least expensive person for the qualifications. I'm not saying the lowest bidder. I'm saying the least, the least amount of money for the best qualified bidder, and we pass that money on to the people. Well, they're going to do, or I'll tell you what I'll do. I can't tell you what everybody else will do. But if I got more money in my pocket, I'm going to go spend it, and that's going to stimulate the economy a little bit. You see, our local economy is no different than our national economy. It's just a little lower in the dollar amount, but the principle is the same. You give the taxpayers more money in their pocket, they're going to go out and they're going to stimulate the economy. Now, the second part of your question.
Second part is there a specific maximum dollar amount above which any contract should be subject to the RFP process?
Define RFP process.
Requests for proposals.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I guess I'm going to take this, the reduction to the ridiculous. Okay, I believe anytime they're spending taxpayers' money, it needs to be, everybody needs to know what you're spending. Okay, and I would not put a, obviously you don't want to do it for $100. I started saying $1, but if you don't want to do it for $100. But when you're getting up, I would say start level at in the low $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 range if you're going to put a cap on it. But I think government should be done in the sunshine. I'm a firm believer in that, and I believe that any time that we're spending taxpayers' money on anything, that there ought to be some source where that is published and everybody knows it, instead of just some little exclusive newspaper that only a few people subscribe to. I think it should be in the local newspapers. Put it on the web. Put it on Facebook, man. The city needs to get a Facebook site if they don't have one, and put it on there.
The mayor's got one.
And well, I'm not a Facebook guy, so I don't really know, but put it on there and let the people know what you're doing. Part of our problem right now is people don't trust elected officials. And a lot of people don't trust people running for office. And when I go tell people, hey, I'm going to do different. I believe I'm to be there to represent you and instead of there to govern you. I can't tell you the number of people that come back to me and say, well, that's what you say now. So I guess I just think we need to keep everything out in the open.
Perfect segue.
Mm-hmm.
What will you do to encourage transparency and public access to government and public participation in the legislative process?
What will I do to promote?
Encourage transparency and public access to government and public participation in the process.
Well, I think I kind of just touched on that question. I'm an open book kind of guy. I think that I would insist that the council had a process by which every time we held a meeting and we talked about anything, rezoning, spending people's money, whatever, that it would be just open and out there for everybody, and in a way where they wouldn't have to go hunt for it.
Okay. You got 6 people in your race. What is it that distinguishes you from all of these opponents and specifically makes you and none of the rest of them the right choice for the voters in District 14?
Well, because my mama said I would be the best one.
Very good.
Seriously speaking, you know, we got some good candidates. I haven't met them all. I've met some of them, and I think we have some. I think we have some people that really, in their heart of hearts, really want to get in and do some good for the community. I believe that with all my heart. I think we need to bring somebody at this point into our local government that has been required in their work life to work in a financial environment to where their daily function is, number one, they set a budget and stay in it. Number two, they grow the business that they need to grow in order to make that budget work. Number three, by growing that business, they bring in more people employed. And then number four, I think that it has to be somebody that really understands that taxes are not necessarily the solution to everything that we do in government. I think we need to understand that people are inclined, the more money they have in their pocket, they're going to spend a little more. It's really a pretty simple process. John Kennedy saw the wisdom of it. Ronald Reagan saw the wisdom of it. George W. Bush saw the wisdom of it. And those three guys, every time it's been done on a national level, it worked. I don't see why it can't work on a local level. My opinion is the local government has more effect on our daily lives than the national government does. And I think that if we put that concept to work here, locally, we're going to see over a period of a short time, people are going to feel better about things, and they're going to kind of wake up, and they're going to probably wake up in the morning and say, you know, there's not a recession, and they're going to go about their business like there's not one. But right now, we make them think there is one because of the way we do it.
All right, assuming that CTDC were to officially endorse you, what actions, if any, would you take to inform the electorate of that fact?
Well, I have a pretty aggressive website, and we update it quite often. I would probably, if I got this endorsement, since I have not really gotten any due to the late entry when I got in the race, I got in January the 4th, and all my opponents have been in 6 months. I'd probably stand on the top of the St. James building and wave a flag and shout. But I will just tell you, I've been invited to some places for endorsements, and I've not answered the questions, and I will not show up. I'm not one that really is looking for special interest groups to endorse me, because when I'm elected to the city council, I want to sit down and I want to feel like that I am not responsible to anybody but the voter and the taxpayer that put me there. I'm here today because I know what your philosophy is, I know what you folks stand for, and I think that I have pretty much the same views as you have. If I did not have the same views that you have, I'm not too sure that I would be seeking an endorsement from you.
All right, very good. What